Today marks the conclusion of the elimination stage of the PGL Major at Copenhagen, and man, what a conclusion it was. We saw sparks flying all up and down the server. G2 and Virtus Pro were set up to have a classic 3-game series, but now the narrative isn't G2's epic win, it's the massive asterisk on their second map. Meanwhile, the dormant Faze clan really came to play today, and Navi established that they are a potential finals threat. Regardless, the stage is set for the playoffs in the Royal Arena starting Thursday this week, so if you missed the action live, this is the #1 place where you can get your major recaps. My name is LionHeartZ, welcome back to the channel, and before we get started, make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, and helps me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers as fast as possible. And consider becoming a channel member today. For $5 a month, you can support me directly, gain access to exclusive emblems, emotes, and a shoutout at the end of every video, with more features coming soon. And while you're down there, make sure to give me a follow on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/LionHeartZ1337. I stream Sunday through Friday, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so come check me out. And with that, let's get started with the recap. Now, normally I've been structuring these recaps by going over the games in chronological order, but by far the biggest narrative of the day and by far the most interesting series was G2 versus Virtus Pro. And because I understand how YouTube watch time metrics work, I feel it's necessary to take some time to go over this series first, even though it's out of order. And what's really upsetting in retrospect, now we've had a few hours to simmer on it, is that based on the first map of play on Overpass, this was really looking to be a classic 3-game set between these two teams. Even though I am admittedly a big hater of Virtus Pro, they are a very good match for this G2 team, and the sparks were flying early on in this first map. The game would start with G2 running off 4 consecutive rounds to open their CT side, establishing good aggressive map control and not giving room for Virtus Pro to run out the clock and forcing G2 to make mistakes in terms of their CT positioning. But Virtus Pro would get kickstarted on their T side off the backs of an insane 4K 2v5 comeback round from Norbert, who played fantastically throughout the series. His rifle looked lethal throughout all 3 of the maps, and he was electric to open up on Overpass. And off the backs of that momentum, they would take 6 of the next 8 rounds on their T side, which was crushing for G2's momentum. And considering just how CT side Overpass can play, I and many others thought this was game over. Virtus Pro were going to comfortably win this once they swapped to CT side where they could control the pace more. But no, G2 would get a clutch second round conversion after the pistol loss, and then run off 5 straight rounds to get them right back in it, and then Virtus Pro would establish themselves and take full control of this map for the remaining rounds. Down 7-11, Virtus Pro would lock in and not give G2 any room to move. That suffocating map presence that defines the Virtus Pro playstyle was in full effect, and G2 couldn't get anything going in terms of their T-side executes. In overtime, it was the combination of VP strat calling and again Norbert having a pop-off 28-kill opening map that let them take 4 of the 6 overtime rounds and win the first map 16-14. And now we move to the map that may go down in infamy for this major, and that's map 2, Inferno. And what sucks is I want to talk about how great this game was, how close it was up until the final moments. Going into the controversial round, it was an 11-11 score that saw both teams striking back against each other in big ways. I thought G2 were going to crumble under the pressure that VP could exert on a map like Inferno, but they rose to the occasion on both sides of the map. You would think Virtus Pro would be in a comfortable position after running 7 straight rounds to close out their CT half, but once G2 got on the CT side themselves, they showed great awareness of what VP were going to be running strat-wise, and were locking down the map all over the place, taking the first 4, and then managing to hold off an onslaught late from VP by taking 1 out the next 5. And then we come to the controversial round, 11-11, both teams are broke, whoever wins this round will get match point, and eventually the guaranteed win, or at least a very good chance of one considering the economic state of both teams had the round ended. And again, the setup for this round was looking to be a classic one. VP would open up by trying to isolate banana control, but the counter utility from G2 boxed them out. G2 were going for a gamble stack A early in case there would be an apartment mid-rush, but VP were going to take it slow here and isolate mid-control and wait to see if G2 reacted or pushed in some way. Virtus Pro eventually would decide to work towards top middle, trying to set up for an A execute. Meanwhile, G2 had rotated 2 more players to the B bomb site to try and isolate top banana control. G2 gets that top banana control with the help of a smoke from Nico, and once they ascertain there are no T's there, they rotate back to stack up on the A side again. But Virtus Pro was either working a planned strat from the beginning or had some kind of tell, because they worked their utility A side to bait the rotates and began to work back towards the B site. This all culminated in Virtus Pro getting the trade to get B-side control and set up for a post plant. It was a 4v4 retake. Winner gets match point. This was supposed to be the penultimate moment. And then James rotated to the back of the B site and his game crashed. Now, whether this was due to an issue with CS2, which is possible, or the hardware that he was playing on, which is also possible, we don't know. What we do know is James crashed, his character walked out into the open while he walked to the desktop and gave G2 a free pick, and that destabilized VP entirely, allowing G2 to execute the retake efficiently and win the round and force map point. Now, at this point, what are you supposed to do? The obvious call is for there to be a tech pause and for the round to be replayed. It makes no sense for the game to go on because the round was not allowed to finish in a way that's satisfactory for both teams. They should have stepped in, PGL, and made sure this round got replayed on fair footing, but instead, for reasons that we're still not sure of, PGL decided to call that the game would play on, G2 were awarded the round and match point and advantage, and a now broken VP conceded the next round, allowing G2 to equal the series 1-1. And there's not much to say when we move to the third map of Anubis, because it's pretty clear that VP came into this map broken and unable to recover. And it sucks to say that, because we saw for the first time a truly finals-ready G2. The team was firing on all cylinders, all players came to play on Anubis, their map control was efficient. m0NESY had a monster game on the op, and nothing should be taken away from his performance, but it's clear that VP weren't in it from the beginning. This was a stomp, 13-6, and VP unfortunately exit the tournament. Now listen, I have positioned myself as the #1 certified hater of Virtus Pro. I don't like the team, I don't like James' playstyle, and had this been a legit series, I would be sitting here laughing, gloating, guffawing at you Virtus Pro fans, for your inability to see what I see in your team. But nobody wanted the game to end like this. This is unsatisfying, it leaves a nasty asterisk on G2's run, and it leaves a poor taste in our mouths going into what should be the ultimate celebration of Counter-Strike. Competitive integrity matters above all. You never want to look back at a match and be like, well, there's this nasty what if right in the middle. It is very likely that Virtus Pro could have won that round had James not crashed. That would put them at match point and G2 in the economic broken position, and then we're talking about Virtus Pro winning the series 2-0. It's not too much to say that the entire series was reliant on that one round, and I think PGL owe it to the community and they owe it to Virtus Pro to make a statement as to why the round wasn't replayed. This seems like a drastic oversight in administration. I would go as far as to say that this is an Olaf Pass level controversy, because both of these teams could contend for the finals and could win the championship, and now we're going to look back and be like, well, what if James hadn't crashed? And that's a really bad look for the Major. And to close, I just want to point out what a class act James is. Whatever beef I have with his playstyle, he is a consummate professional. To go up to his post-game interview, having just lost in such a tragic way, and put the blame on himself for not doing better throughout the tournament, and not blaming the officiating that struck him out, is incredible. It would have been well within his right to complain about what happened on Inferno, but he looked past it, he looked above it, he stood tall, and frankly, Virtus Pro should be proud that this is the guy leading this team. What a class act. Alright, from controversy to me being sad, with Complexity taking on Faze Clan. And on one hand, I am happy to see Faze Clan show up with that world-class, #1 team in the world form that we all know and love. Part of me is so happy that Kerrigan's going to get to play in the Royal Arena in front of a Danish crowd and contend for a major before his career is over in his home country.
But at what cost, I ask you? What cost?
I don't know what shaman put a curse on a liege that the moment he plays a Danish-led team, he gets all of his powers taken away like it's fucking Space Jam. We opened up on Nuke, and there was no way in hell Complexity were ever winning this game if all of Elige, Halzark, and Grim failed to get above a 0.8 rating. And on the Faze side, it wasn't like this was some incredible Robs or Brokey performance that really shut us down. No, it was Frozen and Kerrigan leading the way in terms of fragging. It was just Kerrigan calling circles around Flamby, and Faze just never giving an inch to Complexity, and Elige making just bizarre mistakes left, right, and center. I mean, on the CT side, Complexity let Kerrigan twice just walk into Mini Garage from outside, get a pick on the A-bomb site, and no one was watching it. It was bizarre. And then just like every time, Complexity runs off a streak of like 6 rounds in a row, and I'm like, oh wait, hold on, the comeback's on, boys, we're back, we're so back! And then they lose the next 6 in a row. It's tough. It's tough out here. Especially when we go to Overpass. And again, 13-6. Just uncompetitive Counter-Strike from Complexity. Elish played good in the final game. 18 kills, 1.4 rating. That's tied for best in the server with Brokey. But it just doesn't matter when HeartZ and Grim are just disappearing. I just don't know what to say, man. You know, North American Counter-Strike has been through an incredibly tough time these last few years. Most of the talent vacated for a game that should not be mentioned. Most of the top orgs left. And a lot of the top talent fled for Europe and better opportunities. There just wasn't much left in terms of the North American scene. North American Counter-Strike is now largely defined by the Brazilians. And credit to them, they actually play good Counter-Strike. What's left of North America is us trying to pick up the pieces and a bunch of tier 2 and tier 3 talent that's never going to be good enough to play on a European stage. So when I see a team like Complexity that's brought up great North American talent, headed by arguably the best North American player ever in Elish, I get a lot of hope. Because North American CS should be able to compete. The talent is there. I just don't know why we struggle so much on the international stage, but we do. Anyways, no discredit to Faze. Faze is still like one of my favorite teams ever. Kerrigan's my favorite IGL of all time. Part of me is very happy to see them go through. It just sucks that it comes at the expense of a team that I was equally excited about in Complexity, and seeing Complexity lose 3 consecutive best of 3s when they could have easily beaten Vitality and should have been more competitive against Mouse is just a heartbreaker. I really hope that this team retools, reconsiders what it's doing. Maybe we have to get an upgrade over HeartZ or Grim, but honestly, HeartZ played a great tournament. It really boils down to that they were too inconsistent. For as amazing and unbeatable as Elish was on day 1, he had just as many awful games during the next 3 days. And let's wrap things up with Navi versus Pain. And going into this, let's be honest. Pain should not have been competitive in this game. Pain Gaming are not the same caliber of team as Navi. Navi are looking to contend here. They could easily make the finals. They could even win this major. When you look at all the resources, roster management, coaching, the money behind Navi versus what Pain Gaming have behind them, the fact that Pain Gaming took both of these maps, made them close, were competitive the entire time, is a real achievement. They go 13-10 on Nuke and lose the first map. And Navi, they looked a little sloppy here. They gave Pain a great opportunity to bring this match back. Big Azera was shining once again. This guy is a bona fide superstar in the making. I've never seen anything like what Big Azera has done throughout this tournament. We're talking legit star level production while being an in-game leader and calling great strats. Their Nuke playbook is insanely deep. I don't know how this guy's doing it. He's breaking the mold of what an IGL should be. It's just clear the rest of the team is not up to the same standard. Players like Nisam and NQZ, they have their times where they're great. Nisam's easily the second best player on this team, but the rest of the pieces aren't good enough to compete with what Navi has to offer. And when we move to Mirage, we really see that Pain ran out of gas. And running out of gas is still a 13-9 game. They were in this, but Big Azera ran out of steam at the last moment, so did Nisam. Big Azera bottom bragging for what feels like the first time in this tournament. And that was what put the nail in the coffin. It's no surprise to me that Navi qualified through, but I just want to take a second to again highlight Big Azera's numbers for this tournament. In the opening stage alone, Big Azera averaged a 1.48 rating. He had 92 ADR, averaging nearly a kill per round over the 5 maps they played to qualify to the elimination stage. Again, that is star level production out of your in-game leader. And in the elimination stage against even tougher competition, he still averaged a 1.15 rating over 9 maps, which is incredible. This guy needs to be airlifted to another roster, straight up. And with that, the stage is set for the Royal Arena. The quarterfinals start this Thursday, which means I get a break, which I'm really looking forward to. I'll be doing a separate video with my playoff predictions as I want to take some time and dive deep on those. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that upcoming content. Make sure you guys comment, like as well, helps out immensely. Consider becoming a channel member. Shout out to my current channel members, Furley707, my brothers Jesse and Justin. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. Also, make sure you give me a follow on Twitch, link in the description down below. I am going to sleep for maybe 4,000 years. I'll see you guys soon for more major content. And yeah, you guys have a good day. Peace.